We are anonymous. We are not a political party, not a campaign, not a brand. We are the voice that cuts through the lies, the shadows that expose what the powerful want to hide. And today we are exposing Donald Trump, sick in body, sick in mind, dangerous in action. His reckless mistakes are shaking Washington, D.C., terrifying allies, empowering dictators, and dragging America closer to the edge of authoritarian collapse. Look outside in D.C. What do you see? Soldiers, armored vehicles, military police patrolling neighborhoods. It looks less like the capital of a democracy and more like Belgrade, under the grip of pro-Putin forces, cracking down on students and activists who dared to fight for freedom. And why? Not because crime is surging. Crime is actually at a 30-year low. No, it's because Trump craves the image of power. He wants the optics of control. He's manufacturing a crisis so he can play dictator, turning the city of freedom into a stage set for his authoritarian fantasy. Restaurants are empty. Reservations are down by nearly a third since this crackdown began. Families are afraid to go out. Workers are losing wages. Businesses are collapsing. Trump calls this safety. Anonymous calls it sabotage. Safety doesn't come from tanks in the streets. Safety doesn't come from National Guard units flown in from Ohio or West Virginia to patrol corners where no crime even exists. Safety comes from trust, from leadership, from freedom. And Trump has none of those. While D.C. feels like a militarized zone, Trump is busy online pushing Kremlin propaganda. He posts nonsense like Ukraine must be willing to give up land to Russia, parroting Putin's talking points word for word. Ukraine has fought bravely, stood tall against a war criminal, but Trump doesn't see them as allies. He sees them as bargaining chips for his twisted ego. He humiliates American troops, forces them to kneel for Putin in Alaska, red carpet rolled out, while Putin laughs. That moment of shame tells you everything you need to know about who Trump really serves. It isn't America. Trump once promised he'd end the war in 24 hours. Bold, decisive, ridiculous. And when pressed, he admitted it was sarcasm.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that. What I really mean is I'd like to get it settled. And I think I'll be successful.
Sarcasm while people die, while children lose parents, while cities burn. This isn't a stand-up comedy show. This is war. But to Trump, it's just another punchline. And while he fails on the world stage, he runs the same scam at home emails begging for cash. Platinum membership expiring, lucky for you, I'm generous. It's a con. It's always been a con. He's not generous. He's greedy. He's been grifting his supporters for decades, milking fear, selling fake hope. And still he whines. He whines about fake news, saying his Putin summit was a disaster. Fake news didn't put Lavrov in a USSR shirt. Fake news didn't let Putin walk away with everything he wanted and no consequences. Trump did. He promised
has been saying for 3 days that I suffered a major defeat.
And instead of action, Trump shrugged, smiled, and handed Putin a propaganda victory. That's not strength. That's surrender. That's betrayal. He pretends to preach peace, holding up a dove, posting no war, only peace. Meanwhile, in Gaza, civilians die. Everyday children are kidnapped. Hospitals reduced to rubble. Trump's contribution, saying America should have Gaza, not buy it, not negotiate, just take it. We'll hold it. We'll cherish it.
The U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What is that?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish.
Cherish war crimes. Cherish stolen land. That's not peace. That's imperialism disguised as real estate. He brags about knowing Putin says Putin told him America is hot like a pistol.
I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. Everybody thought it was dead.
And he beams as if flattery equals victory. Trump doesn't see that Putin is playing him like a cheap fiddle, mocking him, mocking us, mocking every soldier who ever fought for freedom. That's the man Trump bows to. That's who he chooses to listen to. Not his generals, not his allies, not his people. A dictator. And what about Americans? How do they feel? Polls show overwhelming rejection, disapproval across every age group, every demographic. Minus 68% among black voters, minus 43% among Hispanics. Women reject him. Young people reject him. The future rejects him. And yet, while his approval collapses, he golfs again on your dime, laughing, while the country burns. This is not just incompetence. This is deliberate. Federalizing police, clearing homeless camps, intimidating protesters. Trump's blueprint is simple. Crush dissent. Spread fear. Call it law and order. But the truth, it's about power, not safety. It's about replacing democracy with dictatorship, one lie, one troop deployment, one propaganda post at a time. And Anonymous will not let you forget the grift. His entire life has been fraud. The failed casinos, the fake university, the sham charities. Now it's the presidency itself turned into a scam. He claims America was dead a year ago, and now is the envy of the world. Reality check under Biden. The economy was called a Goldilocks economy, just right, envied worldwide. Under Trump, it's chaos. Inflation, instability, and a new world order forming with America weakened all, while he brags about Putin's compliments. He mocks Senator Chris Murphy, who rightly called the Alaska summit a disaster. And Murphy was correct. Putin got the photo op he craved, legitimacy he didn't deserve, and he gave up nothing. No ceasefire, no peace, no accountability. Just Trump smiling next to a war criminal. That is weakness, not leadership. That is betrayal of every value America ever claimed to stand for. And he thinks flags at the White House gates make up for it. Flags. We don't need more flags. We need affordable homes, affordable food-safe streets, without troops leaders who value people over photo ops. But Trump doesn't care. He never did. For him, everything is a stage. Every crisis is an opportunity to profit. Every lie is another way to control. Anonymous calls this what it is. Sick, reckless, dangerous. Trump's mistakes aren't small. They're deadly. They empower dictators abroad. They crush freedoms at home. They wreck lives in D.C. and they weaken America on the world stage. He is not just another corrupt politician. He is a walking catastrophe. And every day he stays in power, the damage spreads. So hear us now. This isn't left versus right. This isn't Republican versus Democrat. This is freedom versus authoritarianism. This is democracy versus dictatorship. And Trump has shown you in his words, his actions, his failures, exactly which side he's on. We are anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us, and expect yourself to act. Share this. Speak up. Don't let silence be your answer, because silence is surrender, and surrender is the death of freedom.
That's right. Little word opening the show from Anonymous. Welcome to ViperTV Live. How's it going out there in Radio Land? Good to see everybody. Yeah, from what I'm seeing in the chat, I'm reminded that, yes, tourism in America is down. Why? Because there's a great joke here in Europe, and it's visit America, get a free trip to El Salvador. And I can't think of anybody that wants that voluntarily. So, with the federalization of D.C. under the guise of law and order, We're having to deal more and more with unmasked federal agents who are far, and I do mean far beyond their depth when it comes to dealing with Americans who actually know the Constitution, who actually know their rights, who aren't intimidated by these fascist thugs. Here's a great example I'm going to show you. Check this out. This is how you should handle if you're approached. It does everything right. And I'm convinced that if it wasn't for camera phones, that we'd be back in 1930s fascism. And it's not like saying that we're not in fascism right now. I'm talking it could be a lot fucking worse because we can't document these moments and put them out there on the internet.
Hey, how can I help you?
Hey there, is Jeremy?
Yeah.
How are you?
Who are you?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Can you give your full name, please?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Is that sufficient to identify as only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI?
In New Hampshire, yes.
Could you please state your full name, sir?
Could you please stop recording?
No. It's First Amendment right.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Could you start recording?
Absolutely not.
Now, did you see his face as soon as he said, no, it's my First Amendment right? Because they're like, oh, shit, wait a minute, I forgot there's that thing called the Constitution, and it applies to everybody. And, oh, shit, there's people that actually know it. Just continue watching their countenance.
You can show me your name and identification, or I'm going to go back inside my house.
Okay. I don't really want to broadcast my...
Oh, this is going out right after you guys walk away.
So that's why I'm not going to...
So you can show me your name and ID, you can walk away.
We just want to talk to you.
I'm not going to...
We just want to talk to you is the line they keep using. It's like, no, you don't want to just talk to me. You came to harass me. As you can see, they're acting in a completely unconstitutional manner, approaching this gentleman in this situation. You'll see what the situation is.
talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification.
Okay, well, you see our badges?
I need to see... Is your full name on that badge?
No.
I'd like to see something with your full name or I'm not going to talk to you.
I prefer you not to broadcast it.
This will be going online as soon as you walk away.
Well, all I want to do is talk to you about a post that was made, and if you
Well,
happen to be the one that made it.
I want to talk to you about you guys coming here. Say you make a salary of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures? Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like you're familiar with. So then why would you come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any other
No, you're
threats.
coming because you're part of a regime that does.
We're coming because we need a cheap excuse to harass you, pretty much. That's that's what I was getting. And when they're called out, they're freaking the fuck out.
This kind of thing when you know laws aren't being broken. And that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your jobs and go home?
We appreciate it.
You're walking away. Because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are fuckheads that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't...
Oh, you see that? The moment that they got pressed, they just turned tail and walked away. And then they kept asking, can you please not record? They know what they're doing is wrong. And they know how they're going about it is wrong. You just got to call them out. If you have a camera, you have more power than you would even believe. We need citizen journalists out there documenting this kind of thing.
can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. And you go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards. Drive away. Drive away.
Did you see him just looking off into the distance for 2 seconds, contemplating life? Like it's just like that sketch where it says, "Are we the baddies?" I mean, you can see it starting to set in. Like, oh God, we're gonna be all over the internet, aren't we?
You're not welcome. You should be embarrassed. Embarrassing. You guys are embarrassing.
That's how you do it right there. Remember, the Constitution is there to protect you, is there to protect me. It's the one thing that they can't gaslight away. As much as if you watch that actual press conference with with Trump and Zelensky, he had to point out how many different times that he solved all these different wars, which, you know, he actually really didn't. He wants a Nobel Peace Prize so bad that, like, it's because Obama had one, and he knows that he can't measure up to that. And because he legitimately got one. So he's constantly bringing up these different things so that he can seem like he's worthy of a Nobel Peace Prize. And it's really, really, really sad. It's like inviting yourself to somebody's birthday party. Like, supposedly called up the King of Finland, just like wanting accolades for his nomination to be a Nobel Peace Prize recipient. It's absolutely ridiculous. But he had to make sure to play victim because he was like, I could solve all these different problems and they're still gonna paint me as a bad person. Well, yeah, we are gonna paint you as a bad person because you just openly admitted that Vladimir Putin said that mail-in ballots mean that elections just can't be legit, which is really funny because Trump used mail-in ballots himself. And what did we do? Just fuck all the overseas soldiers, fuck the people on disability that can't make it to the polling station, because that's going to affect a lot of his votes too. And then when Zelensky mentioned that they couldn't have an election because they were at war, the smile that went across his face was terrifying because immediately that he was like, oh, this is a means that I can stay in office. But also, people will end up dying, and I can use that somehow as political strategy. And you can see it all starting to get worked out in real time if you watch the clip. It's really astounding, especially if you know how to read between the lines when it comes to these motherfuckers. In other news, man, I don't know who's running the comms at Gavin Newsom's office, but slow clap to them, because this is the first time that I've seen what I call the bully coward victim mentality of MAGA come completely out and completely unhinged, being like, how can Newsom tweet like this? Don't they know it's so unprofessional? It's like, but this is the exact style that you've said is fine all of this time. It just, when you give them a taste of their own medicine, they swear to God that they've been poisoned. I think that's just really the best way to put it. It's just part of the authoritarian fragility, as I like to call it, because it's the same idea of the of trying to charge somebody with a felony for throwing a sandwich. Yes, assault with a deadly weapon, as they keep saying. Don't bread on me. But can you think of a more apt vision than a bunch of dude bros in tactical gear, like crashing out over a sandwich being thrown at them? I can't. You're watching ViperTV. Stick around.
The stunning political scandal that is rocking Capitol Hill. Republican Congressman Mark Foley abruptly resigned Friday after questionable emails he sent to a teenage boy.
Dennis Hastert convicted of a financial crime, part of a scheme to mask something more egregious, his molestation of children.
Hush money used to pay a man who says Hastert sexually abused him when he was 14 years old.
There are now 5 former Ohio State wrestlers accusing Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of knowing about a team doctor's alleged sexual misconduct.
43 men who say they were sexually assaulted, abused, molested, or harassed by Dr. Richard Strauss.
George Nader. His criminal history included multiple convictions for child pornography and child molestation.
This morning, a judge sentenced Ralph Shorty to 15 years in prison. Police caught Shorty in a hotel room with a then 17-year-old boy.
Roy, more defiant as more accusers step forward, alleging sexual misconduct.
This is the shopping mall where some say it was common knowledge and not a big secret that Roy Moore would flirt with teenage girls when he was in his 30s.
One accuser says that Moore initiated a sexual encounter back in 1979 when she was just 14 years old.
The new charges against Joel Greenberg.
Sex trafficking of a minor and stalking a political opponent.
Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz allegedly having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl.
Investigators examining whether he, quote, violated federal sex trafficking laws.
Ghislaine Maxwell is accused of helping Epstein sexually abuse underage girls.
I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well.
Every accusation is a confession. It's something that's called the PedoCon theory. That's right. Give it up for Midas Touch for that commercial. PedoCon theory. What is that? Well, like I said, every accusation is a confession. Kaya Kalinske from Secular Talk. He's pretty based. I like a lot of the stuff that he does. And he did this segment right here on the PedoCon theory. And I want to go through this with you because with Ghislaine Maxwell getting moved to a super cushy prison after talking to Todd Blanche, who is Donald Trump's personal defense attorney, and the fact that James Comer is now saying they're going to release some Epstein files. How long did it fucking take for them to redact the names? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get into this idea of the PedoCon theory.
So a few months back, we covered this story here. This article was in The Guardian. Former Trump spiritual advisor faces charges of lewd acts with a child. Texas megachurch founder Robert Morris indicted in Oklahoma on 5 counts over alleged misconduct in 1982. So they go on to explain that at the time he was 21 years old and he diddled a 12-year-old. 12. Trump spiritual advisor. Okay. Guys, this is only one of countless stories with the same goddamn theme. And the theme I'm talking about is hardcore MAGA ends up being a child sex pest. Hardcore MAGA. Or
I don't know what it is. I'm just somebody that follows the data. But people that are staunchly anti-LGBTQ, 9 times out of 10, it seems because they're covering up for them being completely ashamed of their being into kids. And that's where the projection comes in too. The louder they are about ensuring that they control how people live and love, 9 times out of 10, they're doing something real fucked up.
Conservative Christian, like super religious evangelical, and they get caught in the same predicament, right? It happens time and time again. So now, this was one we did a few months back. We just got this one the other day. South Carolina Representative R.J. May has been charged with distributing sexual abuse material involving children. He allegedly used the screen name Joe Biden with a bunch of N's, 69, to exchange 200.
Dude literally used Joe Biden as his screen name. There's not a better example of this that I can think of. How many fucking times have you been in some sort of stupid back and forth with some right-winger who, you know, just happened to live downstream of the nuclear power plant? His family tree's a fucking figure 8, and the one thing that they want to do is call you groomer the moment that you present some facts that they crash out over. Anyone that calls somebody a groomer as their very first instinct when losing a political debate, PedoCon theory. Sorry.
120 different files of toddlers and young children involved in sex acts. What the fuck? What the fuck? Let me tell you something, y'all. You don't have to dig deep to start seeing the laundry list of these types of people being caught red-handed. In fact, here's...
Every single day, I'm posting memes of people that you don't leave your kids with, and they happen to be people who are trusted, like religious leaders, clergy. I don't know what it is about people of the cloth. And I think that it goes two opposite ways. There's the extreme conservatives who love the hypocrisy and get off on it, and that's kind of a kink. And then there's people who get into, you know, stuff like organized Satanism because it allows them to get into all the sexual debauchery that they want. So that's my theory when it comes to any sort of religion. If you're fervently hardcore about it, to where you insist on controlling other people's lives, 9 times out of 10, you're doing something dreadful and you need a cover. And I'm not just making shit up. I mean, the data's there. Hashtag not a drag queen looks like a fucking MAGA rally.
One for you. This is what you're seeing here is just a bunch of different headlines over time that talk about, okay, one says, QAnon follower and former MAGA congressional candidate Ben Gibson arrested for possession of child sex abuse material. That's just one headline. If we zoom in a little bit here, Oklahoma College Republicans chairman charged with sex crimes against minor. Right? We don't need to read all of these, but you guys get the gist of it. These are all examples of hardcore MAGA types or conservative Christians who also, you know, I repeat myself, they're also MAGA types. And they always get caught like this. Why does this keep happening? You know, originally when I first heard of PedoCon theory, I thought it was liberals and leftists joking around, having a good time, poking fun at the right, being like, you know, sort of tongue-in-cheek, like, yeah, look at this, this is a thing. But shit, I'll be damned. This is a fucking thing. This is a thing. How many examples do we need before, you know, people wake up to the fact that something's fucking off here, bro? Something is absolutely positively off here. Dennis...
Seriously, for real. Show me the last time a Democrat from Congress was involved in one of these fucking crimes. Same as, you know, on the level of Dennis Hastert. It doesn't happen in the Democratic caucus because we don't cover. We boot people out when they do fucked up shit. Like Menendez was caught doing financial crimes. We said fucking ditch them. We don't give a fuck. They keep talking about Clinton and the Epstein files. Do you really think we care? Nah, put Clinton under the fucking jail. This only seems to be a problem with one side of the political spectrum. Because a big problem also is when you bring up this kind of thing, like with Epstein's connections to Trump, the first things you're going to hear from the hardcore cult members is, so? And that tells us right there, maybe the problem really isn't Trump. Maybe it's, yeah, I'm pretty sure we know what the problem is.
Hastert was Speaker of the House, ended up being a pedophile, Republican pedophile caught. Mark Foley, Roy Moore, Matt Gaetz was alleged.
Anthony
Rick
Weiner
Rober,
was the last one.
Mike Hintz, Stephen White, Beverly Russell. These are all Republican politicians caught red fucking handed. So, of course, I got to bring this up. This is the old school PedoCon theory video. I don't know how many of you have seen it. I don't know how many of you haven't seen it. We played it a couple times on this show. But tell me that this shit is not as convincing can be. It keeps fucking happening.
Exactly. It keeps fucking happening. That's why I showed that video first, to, you know, let y'all know that it is a real fucking thing, you know? I mean, you can church it up all you want and make all the excuses that you want because you don't want to admit that this is the Republican Party. But data is data, and I remember once upon a time, facts over feelings. That was what, you know, Ben Shapiro said in his horrible rap song with Tom McDonald. Said facts don't care about feelings. Well, facts don't care about feelings.
Like every day, story after story after story after story. I swear to God, I can't go a full week without hearing about some either MAGA lawmaker at the state level or some evangelical Christian right-winger where you learn, oh, okay, yeah, they got caught diddling a kid, doing the most heinous crimes you could ever imagine. Every single week, you get hit with something. I saw somebody in one of these, one of these stories, somebody tweeted it, and in the replies,
not just every single week, but every single day. When I'm not joking, every single day. See, I'm also a producer on the Tony Michaels podcast. And one of the things we do is, you know, we're responsible for memeing. And no joke, every single fucking day, I am posting at least one or two memes about the PedoCon theory. It's either some politician or some person of the cloth. I wish that I was being sarcastic about this, and it's dreadful that it's real life, honest to God facts. But the data is there. And I'm not sure exactly what the connection is. Like I said, I know for several people, especially the hardcore religious types, that the idea of doing things like swinging or, you know, even taking place in untoward activities with minors, it's all about the fact that hypocrisy is the kink. Let me repeat that again. The hypocrisy is the kink. It's one thing to be able to, you know, just point fingers and say things that have nothing to back them up. But everything that I've said has been completely backed up. That's the thing.
Somebody came in there and said, ask Grok, like, hey, Grok, which political party has more child sex abusers? And Grok was like, Republicans. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So, and we haven't even, I mean, they touched on Epstein stuff there too, but remember, this is like the core of what we're talking about here, right? Because there's a real problem. Remember, Epstein learned human trafficking from Trump's teen modeling agency. Remember, that was reported.
Well, also, don't forget, Les Wexner, who owns Victoria's Secret, was farming women, like, not even women, but young women. I'm not sure if the Victoria's Secret models were dealing with the underage stuff, but they were still farming people out to be groomed into being trafficked. And it's very interesting that Bill Barr has just had his deposition on the Hill, you know, because Epstein died under Bill Barr. But learning that Bill Barr's father is who hired Epstein to teach math originally, when Epstein had no qualifications to teach math, it all just seems just a little too convenient.
We discussed that. Trump was buddy-buddy with John Casablancas, with Jean-Luc Brunel. These are guys who are notorious pedophiles. These are guys with their teen modeling agencies. It was all a front for human trafficking, guys. Like, all of that was a total front for human trafficking. And so...
Yeah, gang, child pageantry does need to go.
I want to model my own business after Trump's modeling agency. And this was the most notorious pedophile human sex trafficker in history. And he learned it from Trump. And so the list of stuff, Trump offered Epstein a job in his first term. We just learned that this week, actually. Trump wrote a creepy love letter to Epstein on his 50th birthday saying enigmas never age and we share a lot in common, don't we, Jeffrey? Trump and Epstein literally shared a girlfriend. We talked about that. There's one woman who came forward and said that Trump and Epstein had some weird sexual assault game, harassment game.
Now, one thing that is really interesting is Hunter Biden is supposedly... Melania Trump is trying to sue him because he quoted Michael Wolff saying that they met through Epstein and that Epstein had had relations with Melania prior to Melania meeting Trump. But have you noticed the most litigious man on earth, Donald Trump, has not sued anybody, especially he hasn't sued Elon Musk for mentioning that he was in the Epstein files. The most litigious person on earth is not bringing any sort of litigation when it comes to that because of discovery. Once more, tells you all you need to know. If you just know how to work a little bit of deductive reasoning, these things aren't, they're not exactly rocket science to make the connections.
Game that they played with her. I remember covering that back on Crystal Kyle and Friends about a year ago. Epstein apparently knew the inner workings of Trump's White House in his first term, which begs the question, fucking how? How? Potentially because he's Mossad and he's got moles in there. The first time Trump and Melania had sex was on the Lolita Express. And, of course, Epstein was best friends with Trump for a decade. And I didn't even give you everything, all the dirt on Trump and Epstein. That's just a little piece of it. But, these are fucked up people, bro. These are fucked up people. And I don't think people really understand the depths of the depravity here. But, look, I always said it. When it came to, there was a trend. The more, aggressively anti-gay somebody was, the more they secretly yearn for dick. And that's always been true. If you have some right-winger or some Christian who's, viciously anti-gay and, makes a point of arguing...
It was the same when I was in the military. The most homophobic people in there are the first people when they get a couple drinks in them to instantly try to start making out with you and shit. And then be like, oh, it was just a joke. I was just kidding. One thing about homophobes is in the morning, it never happened. It's a tale as old as time, really. And every day, this theory is proven correct over and over and over.
Making those arguments on a regular basis as to how, no, you should be against gay marriage, and this is sin, and this is evil, and this is not right. The ones who are most vocal are the ones who want a dick in their mouth. And then it always comes out that that's true, right? And usually they get raised in a religious environment, and they're self-haters, and they're like almost jealous of out and open gay people because they feel like, how come you could have all the fun and I got to stay here and hide and not have the fun? And so now I'm starting to think, is it that the more hardcore...
I think that's a big thing, too. It's a generation thing as well. There's so many people of the older generation who are completely just out of their mind furious that the youth can actually express themselves in the way that they want to. And that's a big reason that they want to bring fascism back, is because they were denied that chance. It's in the same vein as, well, my parents used to hit me, but I turned out just fine. It's in the same kind of mentality. It all falls under that umbrella of grievance that is the initial attraction towards fascism.
MAGA you are, or the more of a hardcore conservative Christian that you are, that the more likely it is that, hey dog, PedoCon. It's PedoCon. You're outing yourself. They gotta take your hard drive immediately, dog. You gotta take your hard drive immediately. Because I've just seen too many fucking examples. Too many examples. Week after week, it's another one, another one, another one. And nobody talks about it. We're the only ones talking about it. Nobody's gonna talk about it. Nobody's gonna connect the dots. People still say it jokey on social media, but maybe there's something there. It sure as hell looks like it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time.
Give Kyle some love if you get a chance. Like I said, facts don't care about feelings, right? That's what I keep hearing. I mean, PedoCon theory. It's a real thing. Use it. Messaging, labeling, branding, it's all part of the same gig. The idea is making something stick and repeating it. And every time that this happens again, and you see an example of it, just call it out and call it exactly what it is. It's PedoCon theory. Not my fault. Don't be gross. Like, if you openly know that this is your political party doing this, call it out. Don't just make excuses because you want to try to score partisan points and say, no, it's the Democrats doing it. Just maybe do a couple moments of self-reflection, and if you are in the MAGA supporting camp, ask yourself, why? You're watching ViperTV Live. Stick around.
Reminding Americans of the prices of everything from gas to groceries to school supplies. The cost of all of these things is way up. The reason we like to make this ad is simple. Donald Trump promised that prices on these things would go down if he was elected. With that in mind, let's remember one thing. Donald Trump's administration just ordered Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman who ran Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile sex trafficking ring, to a cushy, low-security prison, and he said he's allowed to pardon her.
Is clemency on the table for her in exchange for testimony?
I know I have the right to do it. I have the right to give pardons. I've given pardons to people before.
A deal that good? Sounds like a good reason to lie about Trump's role in the Epstein saga. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
saying thank you for your attention to this matter has been like the greatest way that I've seen anyone be able to troll using the Trump playbook, because it's starting to become a comment that I'm seeing more and more and more when when I'm seeing responses to to mocking Trump. And this thing about the mockery that's astounding is that they get really, really, really bitchy when you treat them the way that they treat other people. So keep calling it out. Keep calling out the PedoCon theory. Keep pointing out that, man, there's a horrible fucking problem that's going on right now. And between the GOP absolutely just crawling with this shit and capitulating and being part of Russia. I mean, literally, I saw a photo of a tank with a Russian flag and an American flag on it. Do you remember seeing those shirts on Republicans that said, "I'd rather be Russian than a Democrat"? Do you remember that? Like Tucker Carlson going and glazing over being able to put money into a cart and pull it out like you do at Aldi. Obviously, he's never been to Aldi. The amount of connections to Russia it's just beyond into our face now. And what it's proving is that Russiagate was completely real. And that's another reason why they're trying to use lawfare against anybody that pointed out that this was an actual correct thing. Like, that's why they're going after Adam Schiff, because when you're right over that target, they got to turn the heat up. And with that hot mic moment that they just caught Trump talking to Macron about, saying that he wants to Putin to make a deal for him, it's the ability to be taken in by flattery that easy is not somebody you want with the nuclear codes. I'm just saying. When a murderous dictator gets the red carpet laid out for him by American soldiers, and then did you notice did Volodymyr Zelensky get any carpet rolled out for him? Was there paperwork left behind in a hotel printer that said His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky? No, but there was papers that said His Excellency Vladimir Putin, with the whole fucking schedule, like an absolute OPSEC nightmare. When I was in the military, one time, and I mean one time, because I was a meteorologist, so we were responsible for making sure the high winds and seas areas, we avoided those when we were sending our ships out. It's called OTSR, optimum track ship routing, and make sure that you keep them out of high winds and seas and keep them on proper path to use the least amount of fuel. And one time, just one time, I didn't put the right document into the burn bag. It went into the unclassified, but into the burn bag or the shred bag, because at the end of the day, I mean, you just fucking shred and party. And I got my ass lit up 6 ways to Sunday in ways that you wouldn't even believe. And this kind of OPSEC, and like, think about like the signal leak too. OPSEC doesn't even exist. And we're just supposed to just shrug and go, oh, I guess they left a document at a hotel that had the exact to the hour plans of what they were going to be doing at the summit, the amount of incompetence that you just see daily, and with just the idea of, you know, them wanting to get rid of mail-in voting. Like, we had to deal with that shit during COVID because of DeJoy. Remember DeJoy getting rid of machines so that people couldn't vote? Everything that they could to possibly make sure, like, they can only win when they fucking cheat. And that's why this whole gerrymandering action thing that the Democrats are doing right back, dude, I'm loving it, because they want to go ahead and try to steal seats for themselves in Texas. Cool. We got blue states. Well, we can neutralize that shit so fast. And it's just nice to see the mockery actually working, because villains love to see themselves portrayed as villains, but they cannot stand to see themselves portrayed as fools. Mel Brooks said that. And if you think about it, in the 70s, there was a giant rise in fascism. There was a giant rise in just that overly right-wing mindset, all the way from America to England. I mean, punk rock was born out of resistance to that. You know, think about the Thatcher times. If you think about the Thatcher times and everything that was going wrong with England, like whether it was the sanitation unions or coal or just no work at all, or the implementation of the electric eye, CCTV. But then also at the same time, you know, in America with Carter and everything, because the economy, there was a rise of fascism too. But the Blues Brothers, this is my opinion, I think the Blues Brothers really, really helped save America at a time when it was really, really deep in that fascist mindset in the 70s, because not only did they make them look like clowns, but also made them just seem like the least cool thing on earth. And I think that's really what we have to keep doing if we want to really get fascism on its heels in our messaging, is just don't stop the mockery. The more that they cry that what you're doing is mean and unfair, that just means you're over the target. It's okay to actually use the cynicism that's been given to us. I didn't want to spend this time having to deal with this bullshit, but I swore an oath against enemies foreign and domestic. And, well, it's punk rock time. Henry Rollins said, this is what Joe Strummer trained us for. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid. Like, get out there, punch back, share memes, make memes. Thin-skinned individuals cannot handle it. And I implore you, all you artistic types, to use all your creativity possible and just mock the ever-living shit out of them. One thing about we artists, we have different mediums available to us. And mockery is not a hard thing to do. Especially if you're watching this program. I'm pretty damn sure that you already have a biting sense of humor. It's been great getting to hang out with everybody. It's been great seeing everybody in the chat. Remember, on the 22nd, we're going to be doing a raid train for DJ Hammer of Venus. We're going to get her up safely up north, and that's going to be a hell of a party. There's going to be some great talent. And the raid train will end with me, and we'll see what will happen then. But until then, y'all take care and I'll see you soon. Later, skaters. Ow!
Go to skipfranzjr.net for podcasts.
Record player that I could just spin records all the time.
I run into the bathroom and I'm covered in blood. Like I had put my tooth through my bottom lip.
For music. For gaming and pro-liberty game rants. That's skipfranzjr.net.